I'm very excited to have my guest here today, Simon Forster from Sweden. We are actually doing a series on the different generations, and we have reached Pluto and Libra. Actually, we reached Pluto and Libra last month, but there was so much to say. We're doing a part two on the Pluto and Libra generation. So I'd like to welcome Simon back to Guiding Stars. Welcome back.
As always, thanks so much, Kristen, and to everybody that's listening.
So is there anything you'd like to announce for the listeners?
Anybody, let's have a look. If you are interested in having a video presentation or watching a video presentation of today's discussion, on YouTube, if you type in specifically like this, EA Zoom meetings, you'll find that there is an upload, and it's actually entitled Pluto and Libra generation and how that connects to Chiron. And that's like an additional video that I created, so anybody that wants to go ahead and look at that as well, I highly recommend that. In terms of my own work in itself, my website, simonforster.com, which is just www. You can look at the various things that I'm up to. If you're interested in learning astrology, I have got some courses in which I teach. One thing that I do really encourage people to look at is this thing called Learn Your Chart, which is a self-study way of understanding how your astrology chart works. I'll send you roughly about 25 or 26 videos that are compiled on how your chart works specifically with a really beautifully designed PDF. And you also have a reading with me as well. So that's something that really does give you a great way to understand your natal chart, and allows you to consistently come back to it all the time throughout your life. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have to share.
Awesome. I love that idea. So wonderful. Help them learn more about their chart in that way and ask questions and get a reading. So cool. All right. Well, gosh, Happy New Year, Simon.
Yeah, same to yourself and everybody that's listening as well.
Yeah, and to all the listeners, we were here last week with Ari Moshe, and so you're a second guest in 2017, and you can maybe do a little summary of what we talked about briefly last month, and we can just pick up from there.
Sure thing. So, and you know, this is interesting because the last time we did something like this, we took a sign and we doubled it up. Jupiter was actually in that sign, so you know, just a funny coincidence. Jupiter's transiting Libra at the moment. There's so much to say.
Definitely, always.
Well, in terms of the second, you know, I really wanted to do a part two for the Pluto and Libra generation souls, not only because there's a lot of information to share about it, but it does also represent to me a way to understand what this series has been for me and why I'm motivated to share it with everybody here. And the core, the bottom line for this, you know, series, this Pluto through the generations, was to illuminate the ways in which each generation, okay, is manifesting their own evolutionary necessity, but at the same time also tying into how the consciousness of humanity, or however you wish to describe it, is unfolding and how they're interacting. And to just kind of like watch that process and just marvel at how amazing this whole entire experience is, and to maybe even awaken some souls that have felt like their life wasn't really purposeful. And that's classic coming from a soul that's got Pluto conjunct the sun. You know, I have to find something that's got purpose to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and just sharing that there's an incredible amount of change that is taking place for us right now. And one of the things that really comes through with this generational series is something that is the Uranus and Neptune conjunction that took place between 1988 and 1989 and 1995, that whole entire approach of the conjunction, then the official conjunction itself, and then moving past it. And anybody that does follow my work knows that I speak about this conjunction almost to it. I beat it to death, really. But it is fundamentally something that has been influencing the way that our lives have changed. And I've referenced the way that our lives have been changing in a very dramatic way throughout this series. And that conjunction plays this big part, like I said. And each of the generations is interacting with that Uranus-Neptune conjunction in a unique way. And so, again, a lot of what I've shared in the previous discussions and a lot of what I'm sharing today in terms of my observations is just how we are each interacting with this conjunction and how it's affected the way that we are responding to life and how our evolution is naturally unfolding for us. So if we look at the Pluto and Libra generation, the main focus with this generation, not only in their own personal karmic journeys themselves, and I'm part of that, it has to do with learning balance, okay? Now, Jeffrey spoke a lot about the Libra archetype as the experience of learning what balance is through extremes. And it's very important to actually understand what he means by that, because a lot of general astrology, and then there's a big misconception that Libra is balanced. From my opinion and how I've experienced life, it's not. You're trying to attain that experience through that theme, through that archetype. So the nature of learning about balance is influencing right now the Libra and Pluto generation in a very big way, because right now we are, and you are, between the ages of, say, for instance, 32, 33 probably, and 41, 42, right?
Right.
And this is a period of time where you are through your, like for me, for instance, I just set, like my Saturn work is now in full swing. I'm here, I'm 33, I'm doing the Saturn material cycle. And for some that are approaching 38, you're approaching and are probably going through your first Pluto square, your Pluto square period, unless you plan to live 100
right.
in that sense. But so you're going through that Pluto square. You're going through a Neptune square possibly as well, with Neptune being in Pisces and most of us having Neptune in Sag. And you are also going through a Uranus either in conjunct your Uranus. So if you've got Uranus in Scorpio, Pluto Libra generation start out with that Uranus in Scorpio. Then you've got that in conjunct. Some of you got Uranus in Libra, late degrees. So you would have already experienced your Uranus opposition or are in the midst of that right now. And the little chickens in the coop, like myself, are still awaiting our big planets. In other words, I'm still waiting that Uranus transit, as well as the Pluto square and Neptune square. So we're in this phase within our evolutionary dynamic where the nature of our psyche is being deconditioned. Okay, so the ones that are going through Uranus opposition, you're like breaking out, you're going through immense amounts of confusion about where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing, what's my life about. You're really, really getting stuck in with what the Uranus opposition is about and your Pluto square. For some of you that are, 35 and 36, 37, you're beginning that process. And so for you, it's very much also about confusion and trying to find what balance means. Most of you have had some children and are probably, not all, but most of you are probably living in an environment where you're not together with your original partner, and that's because you're learning how to find equilibrium and balance by listening to each other's needs, but not getting too codependent, but still at the same time being put in the same karmic category, because you've got children that depend on your ability to look at the other people's needs as well as your own. And so you've got time to find your Aries polarity point, which is to discover yourself in a new way. And you're also learning about how to understand the relationship dynamics in a balanced way. What is the essential give and take? How do needs work, your needs, my needs, and how do we find equilibrium? Okay? So a lot of you are in this dynamic where you're learning about that in a big way, and the universe is giving you tough lessons to grow through and emotionally develop. And And this is what's really at the bottom of the surface for you right now. And I expressed a lot about this in the previous discussion, but this is a lot more grounded in this way because there's a lot more to say about this experience. Now, if you look at the Pluto and Virgos, the majority of them are either pre-Chiron return but just about to hit it, Chiron return or post-Chiron return. And that's a big deal because the Chiron return in itself correlates, in my eyes and to many others, as light cameras action. It's like you've integrated an immense amount of your early life. You've gone past your Uranus opposition, and you reached a point now where it's like connecting the outer planets and your psychological dynamics of those outer planets to the more personal planets in life. So your spiritual work is being activated. And all of that stuff would come into play based on the themes that you've learned pre your age. And so the Pluto and Libras are in that phase where we're in the trenches, and we're kind of like digging through our karma. We're digging through the dynamics of learning. We're understanding what about, the world is going through the change. Libra is a cardinal sign. So it correlates to change, the initiation of change. And in that Zoom meeting, video that I'd suggested everybody go watch, I go into detail with graphics over there to explain, the nature of the cardinal energy in itself. But we are looking at a world that is on a deep emotional level, shifting the way that it relates to itself. Okay, so Pluto's in Capricorn. Capricorn naturally squares Libra anyway, so we've got that natural tension aspect. So we've got Pluto transiting Capricorn right now, squaring Pluto and Libra generations Pluto, right? So there's the tension behind wanting to break free. There's this tension around the obligations and expectations of the outside world and trying to find freedom in that process, polarity point Aries, and your Uranus is on that polarity point. So the psychological and emotional dynamics are, I'm in a world where we're beginning to become conscious of consciousness. We're beginning to live in a world where we can explore consciousness at a faster rate than what we could have 50 to 100 years ago, right? Not only are we experiencing it directly now by having a radio show where Kristen speaks to various astrologers every single week, the amount of knowledge that one can get in that month based on the different astrologers is mind-boggling, let alone integrating it, right? So we have books, but the speed of the internet goes even faster. So we're living in a very different world to the one that most of us grew up in. You speak to a Pluto and Virgo person, and I reference from that point onwards, but obviously Pluto and Leos, Pluto and Cancers, etc., you guys are still part of the pack. But you speak to a Pluto and Virgo soul, and you guys only began to really get technology between the ages of 45 onwards, right? That was when it was like technology was really coming into play in a big way, right? Where it became integrated into our field. The Pluto and Libra is 30 to 35, that was the thing. Pluto and Scorpio generation, you pretty much grew up with that to a certain degree. And the Pluto and Sagittarius, 9 years old, and they already know half the stuff on computers and how technology works. It's just naturally ingrained. So you can see the transition that's taking place. But the Pluto and Capricorn signature, and it's squared to Libra, and the transition is everybody's now at that point. It's not just selective. It's like everybody get on board with the fact that we use iPhones or we use this, or that's how we kind of can connect. Now, especially where I live here in Sweden and Denmark, if you travel to the big city, for instance, everything's done via your mobile. You buy your bus tickets by your mobile. You don't pay the guy when you get onto the bus with the little coin and you say hello. It's like you buy your ticket online by using your phone to collect a digital stamp that's on the side of the bus station's, waiting area. You just scan that on your phone. It says pay here, you pay, and you get on the bus, and that's it. It's like no interaction with the driver whatsoever. This is the world we live in. And if you don't have that, then you're a mess. You can't. There's nothing you can do. So we have to get on board with that right now. So we have this dynamic, emotional paradox, where on one hand the Pluto and Libras are dealing with the karmic decisions of the past, pre this awakened experience, and they're in the middle going, I've got all of this, like, I'm looking after my young children, etc. But there's this other part of me that really wants to explore consciousness and really wants to explore soul and really wants to explore what it means to understand evolutionary astrology and to go on these meditation and soul trips that are being hosted all over the world now as a general theme for healing and etc. etc. But they can't do that because they're tied down by the Saturn obligations. So it's like, how do I spiritualize in a world that on one side I have the Pluto Virgos who have now reached a point where they have a lot of freedom. I've done my work majority-wise, okay? Most of you guys are like, oh, okay, I can breathe. I've kind of like, my children have gone to go into university, or they're going to college, or they're reaching a point where they're very self-sufficient, so I don't have to be there for them 24/7. And on the other side, you've got the Pluto and Scorpios are going, you know what I mean? Like, I have all the time in the day. Obviously, some of them have developed parental choices, but as a majority, most of them have got a very free, open experience to explore soul consciousness instantly. But the Pluto and Libras in themselves have got the dynamic where they have to delegate time for the things that are not what they want and the things that they do want to do, right? This emotional paradox. And it's really, really fascinating. And I'm not saying that, like in my case, for instance, I'm not saying that I don't want my children. That's not the case. But I can say that for a period of time, I would really love to be able to just say, okay, right, I'm going to a bodywork session in London for 3 days because I would like to work on the psychological imprinting that has left emotional displaced stuff in myself, right? I don't have that flexibility to do that at this point in time in my life, but it's there, and it's like, come on, let's go. It's really exciting, but it's not available to me at this stage yet. So there's this balancing of these extremes where one is a reality that's completely opposite to the other. And this is where we are. And I find it really, really fascinating, and I hope that the time isn't going too fast over here, but what I find really, really fascinating is that Chiron was discovered in 1977, according to the Internet, on the 1st of November. And what was really interesting about this process, it was actually discovered during Pluto's transit through Libra, and also the North Node and Jupiter and Pluto were all in Libra at the same time, okay? And Uranus was conjunct the Sun. So I just find that fascinating that when you step into the archetype of Chiron, which I'll get into once we've finished our break, how those symbols and what the Pluto and Libra's connection to it is, it's actually kind of amazing. So, yeah, cool. I'll discuss that
after the break. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back with Simon.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Shh. Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
iHome Audio has become the #1 brand in the iPod, iPhone accessories market. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on iHome Audio now.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave him helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
Okay, so you see a product you like on your favorite TV show, and you're going to write the number down. But if you're like me, you run around trying to find that pen and piece of paper, which magically disappears every time you need them. Then when you get back to the TV, they're already on to something else. Well, now there's a solution. Seen on TV products have combined all the best TV offers online and in one place. It's one-stop shopping. Just visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on the Seen on TV products. Then, who cares if that pesky pen or paper does a disappearing act?
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
I don't know if there was any music, but we're back. And, I was listening to Simon, and I'm not a Pluto and Libra. I am a Pluto and Virgo in generation, but I've got a couple planets in a Libra house, so I can really relate to some of the things you said for sure. And one of the most memorable statements, I would say, linked with Libra, 7th house, according to Jeffrey, is that it takes an extreme to counteract an extreme. And you were talking about Libra being the archetype of extremity, and it sure is. Like that pendulum swinging from one extreme to another, and it's about learning the art of balance. It's definitely about being able to be who you are in the world in a balanced way, whether it's in a relationship and getting your needs met, or I think another danger with the Libra archetype would be creating realities that are based on appearances versus what's actually deeply best for you. Maybe somebody else has some ideas and expectations for you, whether it's parents, society, through that square to Capricorn. So anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting when, and a lot of Libras have already, and Pluto and Libra have already been hit with the Pluto squared, the Uranus opposition. Maybe not you yet, though, Simon, but, and it's all necessary, of course. All souls will create their entrance point, and there's going to be different times and periods in your life when you're going to have to come toe-to-toe with what it is that you need to do to make a strong turn for yourself in your life. So anyway, I just wanted to add some thoughts on that.
Yeah, that was amazing.
One thing I wanted to say, too, the reason why it takes an extreme is that, to me, the extreme will tell you everything that you're not. So if you're being born into a family or situation that is totally not you and the opposite of your nature, then just interfacing with something that is so polarized from who you are will have the effect eventually of throwing you back in onto yourself through the square to Cancer on the other side, and being able to figure out, what is my truth with the sextile to the Sag 9th house archetype, and so that extreme will help you get back to where you belong, back home to yourself, essentially.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what I think every single Pluto Libra is needing to know at this point in time, because that's definitely what it will promote in every single way this period of time right now for them. And what I mean, this is a really big time for the Pluto Libras, because by the time you begin to reach post-Uranus opposition and stuff, a lot of your wisdom that you begin to share and look back at your life, when you do look at the early parts of your life, this is a period of time that has a lot of significance to it in a different way, because post your Uranus opposition, you get reborn in that sense. And this period becomes, pre-Uranus opposition, becomes more along the lines of like, oh, that's what I did, but it clearly wasn't me.
Exactly. I have to share this, too, because I obviously have shared in the past that I went through a major transition around my Saturn return, and actually was not till halfway through my first Saturn square on the other side of that, 33 years old, when that kind of Capricorn conditioned past was falling away. It took some time for that to all happen through some Pluto transits, slow progressive change, right? Pluto is about eliminating the things that don't serve you. So with Pluto and Libra receiving that square from Pluto and Capricorn, it will be about that. Not being a yes man, not playing nice, having good boundaries within yourself, a good sense of yourself, of what you need. But, and it was definitely in the extreme, you know, everything catching up with you through time, things that you're shouldering or choices that you've made based on, again, appearances versus what actually feels like what's true for you. And so, anyway, this transit for this generation, and if you've got any other planets also being impacted, I mean, it will allow you to remove all those layers of holding or resistance or protection or anything that is not as superficial, essentially, which can be a Libra phenomenon too. Again, just wanting to fit in, right? Wanting to please, and that is going to fall away, you know, through that transit, necessarily so. Oh, and what I wanted to say, gosh, I'm so sorry, this Mercury retrograde is killing me, is that a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, said to me, after I went through this big Pluto transit on, you know, and I do have a couple Capricorn planets in a Libra house, that the words were this: gosh, Kristen, you know, you've really changed. And she's a Libra. And you can imagine what that felt like, hearing it like that. You've really changed. And there's this drop, like this energy of disappointment. You're not at all who you used to be. And I'm like, yeah, and thank God. You know, like, so, anyway, it can be hard for the Libras of the world, too, because of this need to please and the need to fit in, the need for everything to be okay, and need for everybody else to be okay, putting other people's needs ahead of your own. And, you know, but that compensation or compromising or just, again, not honoring who you are and what you need isn't doing you any good. You are not evolving. You're actually slipping back down that mountain. So, you know, it takes a lot of courage. And through the Uranus and Aries transit opposing the Libra archetype right now, if you aren't stepping into a space, you know, with what I would call a brave vein and being courageous to just speak up and stand strong in yourself, then there will be some shocks that will create the change that your soul needs in order to get into some territory that really reflects your nature. And so, you know, these transits are big, but the more you resist, the more cataclysmic they could potentially be for any soul. We know that through the teachings of EA, that it's important to just allow yourself to be in the wave, to ride the wave, and to let it carry you where it must, even when it hurts. You know, even when it's hard, even when somebody else is not happy with the choices and the changes that you're making. You know, it isn't going to be easy, but it's going to be the right way to proceed. And you will be happy when you land on that shore, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I really loved what you shared because, in fact, I really, really loved what you shared because that was pretty much what I was going to talk about with the Pluto Libra generation and its connection to Chiron. And what I find really fascinating with this connection is that a lot of the Pluto Libra generation from then onwards are living in a world where these like dynamics about soul awareness have become more and more available to people. Okay, so there's a lot more awakenedness in people. And the connectivity is a lot more stronger. But the world in itself also appears as if it's gone bonkers. And we kind of live in this world where there's a lot of need for re-establishment of not self-awareness in a Eckhart Tolle's Book of Now type of way. I'm talking about the discovery of our individuality and the knowing of how to love ourselves so strongly that the process of understanding who we are and what we are as individuals becomes the healing mechanism, okay? And the Pluto and Libras with their polarity points in Aries is setting a direction, a tone, in which the self-discovery initiates an overall arcing plan that I think correlates to not only Chiron's return to its own place in 2027, but also to Pluto's conjunction to Neptune South Node that sits in Aquarius, Pluto obviously going into Aquarius as well, and more of the actual path that humanity and its consciousness is going to be evolving through, and that's bringing in the place where Pluto and Libras are, right? So individually they're learning their own stories, but on a collective level, what they're actually developing is the tools necessary for a time when not only do they reach their Chiron return, but the exact tools and fundamental emotional and psychological awareness that will be needed to come into the world. And you must know, like, to me, Libra is also about building bridges. And I feel like...
Yeah, for sure.
A very big part of this is how we're going to relate to ourselves in the future. And as a natural archetype, our skill set will come into play, just as the Pluto and Virgos right now are coming onto the plane, and they're saying, hey guys, I know that my polarity point is Pisces, so I'm learning to not only come into the awareness on a very subtle level, self-love, self-acceptance, etc. But on a deeper level, look at it right now. The Pluto and Virgos coming into power during a time when Pluto transits Capricorn and Neptune's in Pisces. Those archetypes, to me, scream the dissolving of boundaries, of old definitions. So, and the healing that is associated with it, dissolving the boundaries between the self and others, where there has been extreme amount of trauma that humanity carries from patriarchy, from matriarchy, from the ego's need to defend itself when it gets triggered, and our unconscious patterns that are consistently triggered prevent us from giving us the opportunity to live a more heart-centered existence. So some of the challenges with the Pluto and Libra right now, as they're hypersensitive to the Chiron energy, is, I'm awakening in a world where my Neptune, my Pluto, and my Uranus, I'm trying to establish a physical connection to. I'm trying to understand my psyche. I'm trying to understand the subconscious behavior. Whereas the Pluto and Scorpios, they're like come onto the planets and they really, in some random way, are going, yeah, I'm already confronting myself.
That's for sure.
Right? It's like, but they're also born into a world where they don't know where they need to integrate, and of course that's natural because there isn't anything to integrate into. You know, the rest of the planet still got to unfold before that. But there is a synchronicity here with the thing that you said about the boundaries, about understanding what's real for them, what's the truth, and knowing that at some point in the future, when a Pluto hits Aquarius, and when Chiron does its return to its own node, that we will begin to look at ourselves not as this material desire to want to accumulate things, but as an important need to say, hey, the divine feminine is rising, and we need to know what it means to heal our trauma. And again, not just going, oh, look, I have trauma, and then doing like a past life regression and saying, okay, now fix that. It's like actually integrating the psychological dynamics of living and healing the trauma in a moment-to-moment, day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So I'll give you a couple of examples.
Well, we got to go to a break, so
yeah.
Save those examples for after the break. We'll be right back with Simon.
See straight and save. These days, everyone seems to see things differently. But from your eyes, you can see straight and save. Right now, get glasses online at 70% off at Glasses USA. There's a 100% guarantee, too, on top brand men, women, multifocal, and even prescription sunglasses. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Glasses USA, and you will see straight and save.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Have you ever wondered why you are here on this planet and what the point to all of this is? Evolutionary astrology is a natural science that allows for an understanding of the evolutionary journey of the soul from life to life. Evolutionary astrology provides a vehicle to understand prior life dynamics that have led to the reason and purpose for the life you live. It offers a depth of information and insights about each person that no other type of astrology can provide. As Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, says,
for those who wish to unveil the depth of who you actually are, I would highly recommend that you seek out qualified evolutionary astrologers such as Christian Fontana and other graduated students of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. For those who are considering becoming an astrologer to make it a natural career, I'd recommend that you consider Jeffrey Wolfgreen's School of Evolutionary Astrology, where it will assist you in answering and your clients answering big questions. Why am I here? Thanks for listening. God bless.
To get your message out, social media is great. But if you want to be picked up by major media outlets, let's face it, just using social media makes your chances, well, slim to none. If you want to improve your chances, put your message in the right place. A press release on PR Web. Affordable, easy to use, and with great customer service, there's no reason not to use PR Web. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on PR Web now and get started.
There's hundreds of fun and simple things you and your family can do to live a healthier lifestyle. Here's 20 of them. Eat less, eat slower, eat smarter, eat your fruits and veggies, stop eating before you're full, up your fiber, lower your calories, get off the bus early, do some gardening, do jumping jacks, take the stairs, take one, not two, take on a new sport, take a long walk home, walk instead of drive, bend, stretch, reach for the stars, climb the monkey bars, skip the fudge bars. Search We Can online to find more ways you and your family can get healthy together. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Simon. We're talking about the Pluto and Libra generation, part 2. I love what you said, too, about Pluto and Scorpios being at the gate already, or not, you know, they're already in a position of confronting themselves. And just to have these different generations straddling your own, right, on the planet at the same time, the influence that the Pluto and Virgo have for the Pluto and Libra, and then the younger generation rubbing up next to, right, encourage those Pluto and Libras to, you know, on the other side. It's amazing how when you look at all the archetypes and you go all around the zodiac, you know, yin, yang, and the way that it goes, I remember Jeffrey saying, you know, that there's like an antagonistic energy, which each archetype that kind of rubs shoulders with the other one, right? There's a rub. I mean, if you think about each sign and the sign that's next to it, they're not naturally compatible, right?
No.
And so it's forcing you to grow, to look at yourself, to evolve essentially in that way. And by having, so if you think it's like 30 years of people, right, about approximately 10 years per generation, and you're surrounded by all these people in society that are part of a generation that might be next to yours, right, on either side. And what that does, you know, that's how we evolve as a collective in this way.
Yeah.
Half of everybody's retrograde. Half of the planet has Pluto retrograde, because 6 months out of the year it's retrograde. And then what does that do to bring society forward?
Yep. Yeah, and it's always funny to talk to Pluto souls that go Pluto retrograde, and you talk to them about how it feels to have desires. I don't know, we're going off subject here a little bit, but have desires fulfilled a lot quicker, so you get bored quicker about things. And they all respond, yeah, I desired to do this, and then I got bored of it, and now I'm doing something else. And it's like, just the faces when you validate that for them. One of the beautiful reasons why we love EA.
Exactly.
So I was saying about a couple of examples that the Pluto and Libra is talking about. This is the embodiment of spirituality. That's the key word. It really, really is. It's the embodiment of spirituality. It's like, how do you take this idea of spirit and put it into matter in a way where it's not like 3 days a week I go to the mountains and I meditate to some higher vertical plane of existence, and then I come back and then I feed my kids. It's like, how do you deal with your psychological and own emotional imprinting while your kids are saying to you, Mommy, 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 or Dad, Dad, Dad? You know, it's really learning what your soul is doing in the moment, in that experience, and not creating what I would consider to be, and it's not, my choice of word is brutal here, but and so take it lightly, but choices to escape the reality of your life, to exercise your spiritual life, then should not be separate. They're one and the same. And it's really, really fascinating, actually, because when I looked at that and I started to notice how that was working, immediately the Chiron story came in for me, which was the embodiment of spirituality. Your life is your story. The emotional developments and realities that are happening for you as the days go by and transits is your life. You don't need to go and find enlightenment through these external practices unless that is your life. But if your life is dealing with the dynamics of day-to-day things and you've got to make choices that lead you into different paths and that's who you are, then it shouldn't be escaped or denied. In that sense, it should be integrated, emotional integration. And for me, what I think is a very, very strong theme going forward for true, authentic spirituality, and Jeffrey spoke about this a lot, he said that Neptune was not about transcendence to go outside the body and then experiencing the joys of being with oneness there and then coming back into the body and dealing with duality. It was actually about transcending to the higher planes to feel that experience and then integrate that into the Saturn body, which is why the spiritual state is ruled by Saturn and Neptune. It's karma yoga. So this is authentic spirituality and not the one that is developed because we can't deal with the pain body or we can't heal our unconscious emotional trauma that we carry through imprinting and stuff like that. So it's about getting down and dirty with it, right? Literally getting real with yourself. And the Pluto and Libras are here to say, hey guys, we're not going to do this anymore. We're doing it the right way, and this is the change we represent. And the Pluto and Scorpios are saying, yes, we know this already. That's why we're at the gate going, we're doing it here.
That's awesome. I love that. Oh, my gosh. That is so funny. Great.
But it's the truth because, again, and I'll talk about that more next week or next month when we do the generation, but this is about the examples of neurosculpting. I don't know if anybody's heard about that. Neurosculpting is a fantastic new understanding of how we can rewire the brain and heal the trauma that we could have experienced growing up and the way that we carry. So it's not just about accessing some non-physical transcendental area and then coming back to the spot and saying, okay, cool, I had that experience and I'm going back to my normal day. Or it's about having an experience and then integrating that into your actions. That becomes an expression of this new direction. And it's about developing these new things. So, like I said, a lot of Pluto Virgo N degrees, a lot of Pluto Libras themselves are finding new healing ways to deal with the emotional displacement on practical levels. Okay, how do we practically heal ourselves here? What does it mean to live every single day where you actively practice compassion? These are the questions that we're asking ourselves that are not exclusive to spending 1 week in a retreat, learning about those things, and then coming back and living your life normally. It's not. There is no separation, and that's what this is about. The Chiron is about the bridge between the outer and inner planets, Saturn and Uranus. So if we're not going to be living in accordance with this integration process, then, well, what was the point in understanding soul awareness to begin with? They need to be integrated, and that's what we're working towards. By the end of 2027, from my opinion, in terms of looking at transits, looking at the way things are, and Chiron's return to its own node, I feel like by that time, with all the amount of development that's already occurring and the awareness of leaders that are coming onto the planets that are authentic in their spiritual work, and the promotion of evolutionary astrology becoming even more pronounced, and my YouTube channel, people saying, wow, I really like evolutionary astrology. It's so deep and there's something new to this experience and you express it this way. And I'm like, yes, that's why I'm doing it, because it doesn't give you just this basic sun, moon stuff. There's more to the story. And people are really, really wanting it because they know that there's something there. They just don't know what it is. And this unfoldment of this awareness is very much rooted in the Pluto Libra generation and the change from going, nope, I'm not interested in spending 3 days at a retreat just, trying to access some transcendental area. I want to know what it means to live with my emotional displacement and respond to my children in a new way that allows them to see new ways of understanding emotional developments, right? So I don't project my stuff onto them, or I'm cautious of it, or I'm aware of that process. It's the practical day-to-day application of living a spiritual life where your Pluto you're aware of your 10th house, like my case, or you're aware of your 6th house, and you're actively every single day doing the Virgo thing, one step at a time, integrating more of that awareness, so that there is no desire to escape it, to find it, you know? And an example that I can give you very, very clearly is, this is just random, but my partner has got Venus conjunct the South Node in the first house, Pisces. And one of the ways that South Node is being healed, with not only Neptune there as well, and Venus transiting it right now, is learning to take breaks away from an environment that's highly stressful to heal the electrical system, so that when she responds, when she comes back to the environment, her responses are not overwhelming, but actually in a way where she feels relaxed and able to respond with more compassion versus feeling overwhelmed. You see the psychological dynamic and the difference in that. Yeah. And the choice was looking after myself.
Mm-hmm. Good.
You see?
All right, great. We'll be right back. We'll be going to a break right now, and we'll return and share some more.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Let's face it, we're all looking for great products at a great price because it's just a good way to shop and get the most value for your money. Well, here at HealthyLife.net Radio, we do that too. We do it for you. You won't find advertisers or affiliates that are not in line with our vision of bringing people a positive, happy, and healthy life. Although many advertisers come to us, few are chosen. Our advertisers are handpicked and specially selected to support our vision and give you great products at a fair price. So the next time you're looking to buy a product or a service, check out HealthyLife.net's advertiser page. Click through our advertiser partner sites. You'll be glad you did, and so will we. Because you'll help support HealthyLife.net, and we can keep our positive programs coming to you 24/7. That's HealthyLife.net's advertiser page. Do us a favor. Visit soon and often. It's a win-win situation for you, our advertisers, and HealthyLife.net. Just do it. HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Want help quitting smoking? Try Premium e-cigarettes. They have an outstanding range of nicotine alternative products. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on Premium e-cigarettes.
The home for high-quality video is Vimeo. People who love videos love Vimeo. It's the community for indie filmmakers, popular entertainers, music videos. Even the White House posts high-def versions of its broadcasts on Vimeo. You can even upload and share your videos. So much to see, so little time. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Vimeo and get started seeing and sharing great entertainment now.
Take one step towards Spirit. Spirit will take 1,000 steps toward you. Come explore the world of evolutionary astrology with Rose Marcus. Rose Marcus is well known for her heartfelt passion, sensitive counseling skills, and dedication to helping others. You can now study evolutionary astrology from the comfort of your own home through live teleconference classes with Rose. To register for the next Evolutionary Astrology School, to read your in-depth monthly horoscope, or to book a private astrology with Rose Marcus, please visit her website, www.rosemarcus.com.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we are back, and I'm here with Simon Forster from Sweden, looking at Pluto and Libra Generation Part 2. And you were talking about the trauma and 2 suggestions to heal that. Was that where we were at?
Yeah, I mean, like you said in the break, just want to kind of wrap it up for everybody today so we can move over to the scorps. But here's my message. The intention of the Pluto and Libra generation and what you're going through right now is to be a part of a world in which there is change. an uncertainty with life direction, an uncertainty with what's going to happen, basically. And what does it look like? How do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And a lot of the emotional responses to life, the emotional feelings you have, the fear, etc., are very much rooted in your own story of self-discovery. And being able to know that the answers to the questions regarding where you would want to be in the world or what you've got to do or what society is going to look like is in that polarity point of Aries, which is, as I said, most of you will have a polarity point in your Aries way. You've got your North Node and Pluto conjunct, then that's a different story. But the point here is that the initiation of the future is based on discovering yourself, and the only way you can discover yourself is by learning how to be intimately connected with your own awareness on a day-to-day basis and watch your patterning and understand yourself. And this goes for every single person. But the embodiment is what it's about. You've come here to watch your soul grow. You've come here to watch your experiences. You've come here to respond to things in a way that expands your consciousness, and that honestly is the only thing you can really do. That's one of the things that I do carry within my own genetics, coming to the awareness that at the end of the day, it is ultimately about remembering the soul's journey and as it unfolds. So we are at a time right now, Pluto Libra, in which we're learning how to understand what balance is and how to create that and to develop the tools necessary for when it is our time to come onto the world stage and offer our wisdom, which will be in about 10 years' time, is to get into that space and know that that wisdom is what the world will need at that stage, and it cannot be grasped at this stage yet. I get that. But what we can grasp is the development of healing yourself through Pisces and Neptune at this stage, compassion, dissolving the boundaries of emotional awareness where the defense mechanisms are out. We're trying to heal ourselves as a race. We're trying to awaken ourselves to the more higher octave planets. This is Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So this is a time where we're establishing those connections to those planets. We're establishing our relationship to our psyche. We're exploring things like what does neuroplasticity talk about, which is the redevelopment of the brain and its neurons based on traumatic experiences that you had as a child, exploring that, working with like psychotherapy can help you process that, but how do you go back and then live a life where that knowledge and awareness is now integrated? So it's bringing that awareness consistently back into your actions, leading you to new experiences, not only to awaken yourself, but also to be able to initiate the Chiron story, which is our awareness of awakening soul. It's not a coincidence that Evolutionary Astrology came into our awareness when it did. It's a soul-based astrology that will be incredibly popular as the world gets more aware that we are not just this physical incarnation, that there are multidimensional realities occurring. And we are that change. We are in that immediate experience. We are the cardinal energy that's shifting away from just higher enlightenment, running away from real life to access enlightenment, then coming back and then using it as a way of escaping reality versus dealing with it on a moment-to-moment basis and developing the connection between the physical body and the emotional body. It's that. It's bringing those two together. That is what it means to be soul awakened. The physical and emotional body is what you're bringing together.
Very much. And that emotional body is part of that water trine that brings you deeper into your soul.
Exactly.
Through extension connected to what created you. Neptune 12.
That is correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
Perfect. I mean, talk about tying it in a nice, beautiful bow. I mean, I think that, what else is there to do here, really, or delaying the inevitable? That's ultimately where our soul wants to be anyway, is in the water, right? Finding our way back to the sea, the river finding its way back to the sea. That's where it all sits. That's where it lives. And so, wonderful message for Pluto and Libra generation, or anybody having a lot of Libra energy in their chart. Thank you so much, Simon. We're going to be back here next month with him to look at the Pluto and Scorpio generation. Can't wait for that one. And we'll be back here next week. We have got a little schedule change this month. Rose Marcus will be with me a week early because she needed to make a change with her schedule, and Ava Green will be with me the last weekend of the month. But we'll be looking at the transits for the next month with Rose when we come back next week. So, all right, have a blessed week and stay cool during this full moon tomorrow in Cancer. And until next time, namaste.